Welcome to Local Everywhere. I'm Cynthia Pooler. My guest today is Roger Allen and Cynthia Mulford. And Roger and Cynthia are going to talk about the open mic that they coordinate at the Honest Way Co-op. So I had gone to one of them, and I thought it was really interesting. So tell us about your organizing and why you did it and the importance of open mics.
Oh, those are a lot of questions. Why don't we start with how often we meet, how it's organized? So it's once a month
Uh-huh.
on the second Monday.
First Monday.
Excuse me, first Monday of every month. And we run them from about 6:30 till 8:30. 6 o'clock, people start showing up around 6, and we have a sign up list, and it's open to the public. Folks often come who aren't members of the co-op. Sometimes some of them are members of the co-op, but it's open to the public. And I like to think everybody who comes has a good time. It's all about having a good time and celebrating community. And I think it's successful at that. There's a number of hosts. Cynthia is one. I am one. And there's a young man, Calvin Young.
Right.
That's actually his name, Calvin Young, who is also a co-host. He's also kind of the sound engineer.
Mm-hmm.
We set up a simple sound system and normally a single microphone stand. And most people who come get 15 minutes to express themselves. And they can express themselves. You just break in here anytime you like, Cynthia. They express themselves with most often music, but we've had authors read from their work.
Mm-hmm.
We've had poets recite poetry. We've had storytelling. And basically, and one young man many years ago used his 15 minutes to make political speech that he had prepared. So it's a free platform, but to me, it isn't about instant fame. It's about a chance to express oneself into the community and publicly.
Now, how long have you been involved in organizing the open mic?
Cynthia, why don't you speak to that? Because
Well, the first open mic kicked off in the end of 2017.
Okay.
It was the membership committee that through Kathy Holmes and Judith Brink that wanted an open mic in the at the co-op.
Mm-hmm.
So it was through the membership committee, and they approached Roger and I and asked if we would be interested in co-hosting this open mic that they were giving shape and form to. So it was at the end of 2017 we kicked off. Calvin joined us in the mid 2019.
Mm-hmm.
And we had Joe Zosky for a little while. He also was co-hosting for a bit, but it's the three of us pretty much, Roger and I and Calvin.
So there must be a lot of open mics in the Capital District. Would you say I'm correct?
Oh, yeah, so many pubs, bars, a lot of churches have open mics. Too many to list, really. I think it's a cultural phenomenon in the U.S. now, and we could maybe a little later on, if you're interested, we could talk about what I think is happening psychologically, philosophically, that they are popular and they meet a cultural need.
Right, right. So would you say that the majority of the people that participate in the open mics, would you say that for the most part, they're members of the co-op?
I'd say half and half.
Okay.
Half and half. And boy, there's some great talent out there. Every month, I am just taken aback by the talent we have right in our community.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So, you talk about good talent. Like when you do your open mics once a month, do you record them? Do other places record them? Because if people go and they entertain just a few people, I think that the audience should be broader than, like an open mic. Are a lot of them recorded?
No?
Well, I think there are, like Eden, the Eden Cafe
Right.
has a big, they have
might.
a regular open mic and they record and broadcast.
Okay.
Cafe Lena records their concerts and shows and broadcasts.
Right. They have a much more extensive system, tech system going on. Yes.
I think with us, neither Thea or I is very tech savvy. That's why we depend on Calvin Young, because he's kind of the sound engineer. He's the whiz at setting it all up and making people sound good. It's a whole new level to record live video and sound and then broadcast it. If there's somebody, out there who would like to join us and would be willing to take that on, it would be more than welcome. But it's over my head.
So, Roger, you had mentioned that the phenomenon of open mics is, gaining in popularity. What do you think?
Well, I think no, I wax too philosophical sometimes. So
That's
either
great.
one of you stop me when I do that. But in our culture, so much of it is we have these professionals that make music, and what comes over our radio and the CDs we buy is such incredibly high caliber skill and production. And I think many of us in our culture become just passive and complacent listeners. And nothing wrong with that. We all choose what we like, but a certain percentage of us just aren't happy just listening. We want to somehow participate. And I need a reason to pick up my guitar and learn new songs. And one of those reasons is knowing that at the end of the month, I'm going to play at an open mic and my peers are going to be there listening to me. So that inspires me to get my guitar out every other day or so and work on what I'm going to be performing. And that engages me and makes me being a part of it. And I think that's what's happening with all of us. We all need a reason to get together, to make music, to celebrate community. Over the years, I found that music doesn't happen in a vacuum. If you don't have people you play with or a place to play your music, you just won't do it. The instruments will just sit there. There will always be something more important or urgent to take away your time that day, and you'll never get around to doing your music. And so I think open mics serve a real important purpose. They give a lot of us a focus and a shape and a reason to work on our music. Yeah, we may not be as good as Bad Bunny, who I was just reading about in Time Magazine, as the new super artist in the world, but it's an incredibly satisfying thing to perform music. And Cynthia reminded me this morning, I say music is what I'm interested in, but she pointed out that all forms of creativity do the same thing.
Music is not the only form of creative expression.
Yeah. And so open mics, it's whatever you have that you want to express. But, we all have to work on whatever we're going to perform. And that engages our whole brain and our self-image and actualize us. And I think it's a real positive psychological benefit to be part of things like open mics.
I see, by searching the internet that open mics are going on all over the country, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So would you say that the majority, or I don't want to say majority, but a good portion of the open mics, they do it in a particular setting and it stays in that particular setting, right?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't go beyond the cafe or the library or wherever they're performing,
Yeah.
right? That
Very often, yeah.
that to me is undiscovered talent, I think, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So Cynthia, uh, you're also a coordinator of this. How did you get started with open mics?
Oh, open mics are just fun. I don't know what else to say. It's bringing people together that all have a love of music, and music is a social thing. It's not something you do home alone.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a wonderful thing to gather together, and you meet people that you wouldn't meet otherwise, and you
Would you
meet them through your love of music.
would you say that the open mics have proliferated since the waning of COVID? I mean, before COVID, do you think it was as, prevalent as it is now?
I don't know. Here in this area, I don't think there's more than there was before COVID.
Okay.
There's a good amount of them in the area. There's a lot of
Okay.
open mics going on, but I believe there were before COVID as well, but I could be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Cynthia, if I could interject there, I think open mics are a cultural phenomenon in the country. Phenomenon. I'm not talking in the country that's been going on for a while now, and it's about people wanting to be involved personally with music and not passive to it. And if anything, this evolution slowed way down when COVID hit.
Sure.
Because like the co-op ceased its open mic program for a couple years because there were laws about people singing or talking, expressing dangerous microbes, and so we closed it down, and then and it's just now coming back, as COVID recedes and becoming a bigger thing, and it's kind of picking up where it left off.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It was an interesting side point to that is that when people stopped in that 2-year period, people stopped. I have close friends that because there wasn't an open mic to work for, they said, gee, Roger, I just haven't picked up my guitar for 3 months. There's just no reason. Yeah. And a lot of people had major setbacks when there wasn't an open mic to prepare for in that period.
Or any other kind of social event. Because again, music is a social activity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And at the open mics, like you said, Cynthia, there's artists who are writers, who are poets, and all of that is so important to have themselves express themselves and how they feel about what's going on in the world.
Exactly. Yes.
Yep.
Yes. All forms of creative expression need to have a safe place. Yes.
So you enjoy what you do.
Love it. And I should also mention too, you mentioned about a proliferation of open mics, and that could be throughout the country, but here in this area, As far back as I can recall, we've always had a rich music culture in
Okay.
this Capital District area.
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
We just always have, from local folk festivals all around, coffee
Uh-huh.
houses.
Mhm.
We've always had a rich musical culture in this area, which is a great thing.
So, I mean, if you don't search it out, you don't know it, right?
That's right.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Yep.
You're right.
So, and you guys are also members of the co-op, right?
We
Yes, we
are.
are. Yes, we
You've been
are.
a member for a while?
Mhm.
Oh, more years than I can count. I
Uh-huh.
was a member when it was on Quail Street.
That's going back a
I was
little
a
bit.
working member, yeah. I think
Uh-huh.
Cynthia was too, weren't
No, I
you?
was a shopper at Quail Street, but I wasn't a member.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, yes.
But
Yeah. So
you
we've been
know,
around the co-op for a while.
there's a few just other things to mention. I think they're significant about open mics. Like at the co-op, it's all about community, giving people self-expression, and it's just a socially and psychologically healthy thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but in other places, like in bars and pubs, places where they have open mics, um, it's a way for a person who's developing and wants to become a professional musician to get club owners to know they exist and what they can do. And
Mm-hmm.
they're often seen as places where people can go perform and thus be discovered and get job offers
Mm-hmm.
from bars and pubs. Um, what's good about our open mic, so it puts a certain amount of competition and pressure in those things. The thing about the co-op is there's no jobs being offered. It's really all about community and shared love.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, the pressure's off and there's a little more fun, a little more less self-consciousness. We're able to laugh at each other and laugh at ourselves. And it's easygoing. And just a few things that if folks do happen to come visit our open mic, to point out is, the sound volume is pretty low. You can go to some open mics like in a bar and the singers are really loud. And
Right.
it's kind of a heady experience, to perform and have you just, blasting all over the room. In the co-op, we don't do that, and that's where Calvin really has to walk that fine line because we want to make it satisfying for the singer. I mean, they can hear their voice, they know they're projecting, they can be heard, but at the same time, right over that partition wall are the shoppers and the members who are working and conducting business,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't want interference and we don't want to intrude. So we make it loud enough to be satisfying to our performers and our audience, and on the other hand, not too loud for where it's at.
Right.
Now, have you always had it out in the evening? Did you ever do maybe like a Saturday afternoon or something?
No, we haven't. It's always been in the evening, but it did used to be in the community room
Okay.
on Saturday.
Mm.
And then we moved it out to the cafe so that by moving it out to the cafe, like you mentioned earlier, if you don't know it's there, you don't know. You have
Mhm.
to hunt
Right.
these things down, right?
Mhm.
Well,
Right.
we
Right.
wanted to have a little more exposure,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
so we brought it out into the cafe. And
So when people see what you're doing, do they sign up the next month?
We get a lot of promises. Oh, this is great. They say we intend to do that. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But when we're there and we're conducting it, you can't help but notice that there's a little entryway and
Right.
faces are constantly, shoppers and working members are constantly stopping to crane their neck around and say, hey, what's going on in there?
what's going on in there. Yes. It's good to have the exposure because we do this month after month, and I can't tell you how many people pop their head around the corner and say, I didn't know there was an open mic at the co-op.
Wow.
So
Wow.
many people just aren't aware.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So, do you anticipate the open mics are here to stay?
Well, as long as we're able,
Yeah.
we'll
Okay.
be there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
So,
I think it's a growing phenomenon in our culture at large.
Oh, sure.
More and more people are interested in open mics. There's for amateur musicians, it strikes me that there's only kind of two avenues to go. One is going to jams, which are free form, everybody playing music together. And those are fun.
Those are
And
fun
I
too.
like them, and I highly recommend people join them. There's a lot of them happening. That might be a good find a host of a local jam. I could give you names if you're interested, Cynthia. But where people just get together and all play at once. They might have one person leading the song, but everybody is participating on every song. The problem with that is you can't develop a unique musical style of your own when you're playing along with, say, you're a guitarist and you're playing with 10 other guitars and 3 fiddles and 20 different singers. It's not organized like a choir would be. So therefore, in jams, there's kind of a rough hewn aspect to it. I think that's why they call them jams. It's like everything's jammed in and you see what you come up with.
But they're fun.
But they're
They're
fun.
fun.
And there's a
yeah.
lot to be learned in jams. But I think another alternative form of expression is either by yourself or with a duo partner or a trio or a whole band. You can polish a song, you can express it, you can shape it, you can sound the way you want it, you can be very creative. And that's what an open mic offers, as opposed to a jam.
So the both of you are singers, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's your favorite song that
Well,
you like to sing?
I'm a Gillian Welsh fan. I can answer that question easily. Roger, I don't know if he can answer that question so easily.
Yeah. I'm a David Francie fan, so I'm working on a number of David Francie songs. And Pierce Pettis, my current favorite song, is a Pierce Pettis song called Appalachian Bloodline. And what it strikes me is people who love music, we always have like one or two favorite songs at that given time. And over time, those songs fade into the background and we have a brand new favorite song.
Right.
And over a course of years, you get a whole catalog.
I think what's important is when you go to like open mics or you hear poets or you hear people talk about what they're writing, everybody's expressing their view, and there's a lot of different views. And if you go and you hear something that you might not have thought about before, and you say, "Oh, that's really cool," I think that's one of the importance of open mics. Would you agree?
Yes.
Yeah. It's always a discovery. We have a friend, Joe, who's a regular open mics, and he comes out with such wild old rock classics that everybody in the room goes, "Oh yes, I remember that. I used to love that song." And he takes a delight in reintroducing us to flashes from our past. He does them very well too. That'd be our friend Joe Coble.
Good. So we're recording this on the first Monday of the month. So you'll be performing at open mic tonight at the.
I am very sorry. We meet the third Monday of the month.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
That is my mistake. On the first Monday of the month, Roger and I host a guitar and ukulele learning session at the co-op.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yes, in the
Yeah.
community room. And that's tonight. So I was getting mixed up.
So you teach
Day.
people how to play the ukulele?
Yeah, guitar and ukulele sessions the first Monday. I am very sorry. The open mic is the third Monday of the month. So we're pretty busy with bringing our music to the co-op.
So
Yeah.
people come and learn how to play an instrument and
Yeah.
you guys teach.
Yes, this is a place where a beginner can go that maybe he doesn't feel good enough to join a jam. He's still in the very beginning learning process. We try to make it very comfortable for that person, as well as someone who's more advanced.
Mm-hmm.
We want everyone to have a degree of comfort. And we talk about theory and we jam and play songs together and share
Mhm.
experiences.
Yeah.
We've been doing that for years.
Over
That's
tw-
so
over
exciting.
over 20 years, actually. It was something we initially labeled Skodak Folk Sessions, and we conducted in a local Methodist church in our community, which is Skodak Castleton area.
Mhm.
And we did it there for many, many years,
Mhm.
and then eventually evolved to the
Ended up
the
in the
co-op.
yeah.
Okay.
And that's our favorite place, by the way, to do it. And we're back in the community room,
Okay.
and people show up with either guitar, ukulele, and we project the words and chords of classic old folk songs, old and new, up on a big screen.
Mm-hmm.
And Cynthia and I normally sit up front to coach and lead, and we lead the whole group, and the whole group plays and sings that song. And we'll be doing that tonight.
But that's tonight. That's not the open mic. So that was my mistake. Open mic
Okay.
third Monday of every month.
So you've been listening to Roger Allen and Cynthia Mulford, and they're organizers of the open mic at the Honest Way Co-op. I think what you're doing is absolutely phenomenal.
Oh, thank
Um,
you.
Thank you, Cynthia.
So I'm Cynthia Pooler. This is local everywhere. So if you like this show, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and share it with your friends and family. Thank you. Have a great day.